Okay guys, some progress, some changes. Well, all the drywall's up, which means all the packing out was done, and the whole first coat is on. The ceiling is done, just needs to be sanded and caulked along that one seam right there. So we had these two like beams along the top of each side, and I incorporated that wood beam into my spackle work. So I couldn't bring the drywall out flush with that beam because it went under the beam, because I had to concentrate on making the drywall flush here with the plywood. So the beam, the wood beam, actually stood out 1/8 of an inch in some places, and in some places like over here, 3/8 of an inch, which is 1/8 past a quarter. So it varies from 1/8 to 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch. And so what I'm doing is I'm finessing the spackle, and I'm gonna float that in such a way that hopefully you don't see it when it's painted. This side's a little bit, not as noticeable, this side. But keep in mind, this is only the first coat. I might have to take this all the way down to about 24 inches before I finally float from the point of the bottom of that wood right there to probably down around there. So, but I'm really happy with this so far. And again, it's one little heater bar is on, and it's keeping it about 70, 73 in here. I don't have a thermometer, I'm just guessing. It feels pretty comfortable. I don't have a jacket on, so it feels good in here. This is the first coat right here. And this is, the project. It looks a hell of a lot better than it did. I mean, this thing was an old horse barn, and it's gonna look like new construction when I'm done, when I paint it. I'm gonna take a subscriber up on his idea of putting a 2x4 along the bottom and then 4 inches up another 2x4. I think he had actually mentioned a couple inches off the floor with the first 2x4, and then another 2x4 4 inches past that. I think it's gonna save the plywood a little bit from the ramming of the tortoises, because I can only imagine they're gonna be ramming in here. And I am gonna take a piece of plywood and put it on that door there. But she's looking good. I would say you give me another week, I'm gonna have it painted in here. So all I have to do is paint it, put the trim on the bottom, put the piece of plywood on the door, and then I can start building the shelf. So this piece of drywall is extra. I'm gonna take that back and get rid of it. It's like extra 20 bucks. I could take it back to the Home Depot. I'm gonna build a shelf right here. I'm gonna put a 2x3 on here. I'm gonna screw it right on that seam. That's why I'm not messing with that seam right there. I don't even care about it, because I'm gonna put something right on that seam. And I'm gonna have a shelf that comes out, and the shelf is gonna serve two purposes. One purpose is it's gonna hold all the dome lights that are gonna be, around the whole perimeter of this room, keeping the tortoises nice and cozy warm. And the second is going to be, it's going to have three purposes actually, because the second is going to be, I'm going to have small tortoises, baby tortoises, and small turtles on the shelf in, totes. I'm going to have totes set up with small tortoises and UVB lighting on top of them. And they're actually going to get some heat that's going to be rising up, because we all know heat rises, right? So as the heat's rising, it's going to warm up the belly areas for these baby tortoises and baby turtles. And that's going to be nice for them. And it's not going to, they're going to be up, they're going to be 4 foot off the ground, so they're not going to be affected by large tortoises stomping around and clonking around under them. I'm not going to have any 2x4 down. I'm going to have knee braces going on an angle under the shelf into that 3/4 inch plywood, which is another good reason to have 3/4 inch plywood. You can actually screw into it and get a good bite, like there's a stud everywhere. So I'm gonna use that to my benefit and put the knee braces right into the shelving. And when all this shelving's done and it's all painted, I think it's gonna look pretty professional. It's gonna look like a pretty state-of-the-art turtle tortoise breeding room in here. And hopefully they don't kick up a bunch of dirt from this. So I'm gonna paint this, I'm gonna seal this floor with a waterproofer, and then I'm gonna paint it with porch and floor paint. If for some reason, now from here over is 2 layers of 3/4 inch plywood. So I have 1.5 inches of floor right there. Right here is just 1 layer. The reason being is there was a separate elevation and I just wanted it all the same elevation. Sorry about that, guys. Got shit in my throat from work here. But if they're too messy on the painted floor, if it doesn't work, I'm gonna use a waterproofer afterwards too. I have paint that I use in bathrooms and stuff like that, but I'm sure they're gonna scratch it. They got fingernails, they got plates on they got scoots on their forearms, and I'm sure they drag their bodies, so they're gonna be dragging their plastrons around. I'm sure they're gonna scratch it up. Even though they're gonna be living on hay bedding substrate, I'm sure they're gonna mess up the floor a little. If for some reason it's to the point where I think it's worth it, in the summertime when they're all outside, I'll just come in here, clean this whole floor spotless, and screw down 3/4 inch solid core PVC with silicone in the joints. And that's it, done. I won't have to worry about it. I'm not gonna do it right now because I'm spending a fortune on this thing. So cool. I appreciate everybody watching, and just wanted to give you a little update and tell you what was going on. You can see maybe if I hold the phone like this, I mean, it's really not bad. By the time I float that down to about here, you're not gonna see shit. I mean, you're not gonna see it, you might feel it. Somebody comes in here and puts a level on it, they might say, oh, it's got a little wobble. But guess what? If you put a level in my tortoise building, I'm gonna kick you out of my house. Probably. Okay guys, thank you. I will talk to you soon.